along with Yashasvi Jaiswal took India to 100 in just 12.2 overs. That's how fast they were batting. Both showed their intent straight away. Jaiswal hit Kemar Roach for a 6 in his first over, and Rohit Sharma played a lofted shot, a beautiful 6 over mid-wicket in his next over. Both gave India a solid start, just what they needed. But once Rohit and Jaiswal were gone, Ishan Kishan, who was promoted ahead of Kohli, continued the carnage, scoring his maiden Test 50, taking India to 181 for 2 before Rohit Sharma declared, setting West Indies a target of 365 to chase. India, before the end of day's play, had taken 2 wickets in back-to-back overs, courtesy who else but Ravi Chandran Ashwin. Earlier in the day, Mohammad Siraj, he was the star with the ball, helping India dismiss Windies for 255 from an overnight score of 229 for 5. He backed his career best figures of 5 for 60 in flat conditions that were good to bat on. So a wonderful performance from Siraj. West Indies now need 289 runs on day 5 and India need 8 wickets. The equation is simple. Jamie Alter is here with us. So is Chetan Narula. As we look ahead to day 5, we're also going to be talking about the Ashes draw and why England are whining yet again. We'd also talk about Harmanpreet Kaur and what seemed to have happened there. Should she be banned? What should be the punishment? Is 75% of match fee big enough? All of that will be covered here on the show. Guys, let's get straight into then India versus West Indies. Day 4, loved the approach from Rohit Sharma. That's the kind of approach you want from an Indian captain when they're playing against the West Indies. Let's start with Chetan. How impressed were you in the way they went about with their batting?
Hi Meha, hi Jamie. Well, it was impressive because, obviously World Test Championship points are on the line. You would want to win the full points from these 2 test matches. Going ahead, the encounters are going to get tougher and tougher against South Africa, England, New Zealand, Australia. So these are free points in a way. And the pitch is a bit tough. So they needed some more time to bowl, maybe 4.5 sessions. But I think rain did not allow them that much leeway. But good declaration, good attacking intent from all the batsmen. I wouldn't call it BAZBALL. This is, we have seen this before BAZBALL was invented. I don't want to give them too much credit. It's not BAZBALL. We've seen this whenever teams are going for a declaration, they go and attack a bit. T20 era batsmen like Ishan Kishan and all, they can score much, much quicker than in the past. So let's not give England too much credit just yet.
I get it. I also don't like that. But having said that, it was BAZBALL. What BAZBALL's done, Chetan? Let's coin our own term then. Come up with, this is what English journalists did, right? They coined the term BAZBALL. You and I and Jamie, we guys have to come up with a better term in the Indian context. Because what has happened, and why I'm saying this, is there's a reason behind what has happened. And that has been because of what everybody's been watching, including the Indian cricket team. I'm sure they've seen what Zach Crawley is doing. There's a reason, Jamie, why it was the fastest 100 in Test cricket for India. Right? Fastest 100. So yes, the game is changing. The approach to Test cricket is changing. But come up with a better name. Maybe we can, I can't say call it Jazzball because it wasn't just Jaiswal.
I think, look, let's not give it any name. Let's not say that this was BAZBALL. But look at the timing of it. To my mind, it is directly linked to BAZBALL because 24 hours, 36 hours before whoever in that Indian camp decided to put their foot down, this is what Zach Crawley in England were doing because they knew that on day 5 at Old Trafford, Armageddon was coming from the skies, right? So it's just the timing of it, right? Now, we know that there is some rain forecast for day 5 and there was some on day 4. So this approach, I would say this is a very, very overdue approach. I'm not going to call it BAZBALL. I'll agree with Chetan. But the fact is, Meha, we have seen, really, I can count on one hand And I need just two fingers to count the amount of times I've seen any past Indian team since I've been watching do the same kind of thing. And the only comparison which actually holds true was that Chennai test match against England in 2008 when chasing some, I don't know, I think it was near 400 runs. Virender Sehwag came out on the fourth evening and he played an innings which literally rattled England and put India on track. I think he got 80 odd. His strike rate was probably around 125, 130, which was for that time was unthinkable.
Yeah.
But since then, there have been many, many instances, like Chetan said, when India has been in the position with a big lead to go for it, but they have never, and if I miss something, Chetan, please correct me, but I've not seen since 2008 any Indian pair combined go hammer and tongs like this. Now, that said, Meha, Chetan, West Indies, flattened, really set back by Mohammad Siraj's 5-wicket haul. That was a scenario which really boosted them. But you still have to come out and do it. And like I read in Contract Info, if this is the fastest team 100 where data is available, to my mind, it has a lot to do with the kind of cricket that England have been playing in that Old Trafford Test match.
Road ball, I've been thinking Rohit and Dravid. No?
No,
I tried.
never loved that.
I tried. What can I say? I'm not as creative. I'm not as innovative. Yes, Chetan.
I will give them credit if India is batting with the same approach in the first innings as well. But they were not. They were taking their time. Even Rohit Sharma was taking his time. Jaiswal was taking his time. Everybody was taking their time. This was made necessary by the lack of time because of the repeated rain interruptions. And like I said, the pitch was a lot flatter than the first test match. You have somebody like a Yashasvi Jaiswal, even Rohit Sharma on these flat tracks. He was going for his sixes. And then you had Ishan Kishan, who's a proper IPL batsman. And he played an innings of really good attacking cricket. Again, this is just the situation of the test match demanding attacking cricket from the batting lineup. I would not call it BAZBALL in a million years.
But just one thing, right? Again, I'm not going to. I get it, right? It shouldn't directly be linked to BAZBALL, and I know your things on BAZBALL. But I'm saying there have been enough instances where India has been in the same thing. We've never seen any opener hit his second ball for 6. So I'm saying it does have to do with what's happening in some other part of the world, right? Sri Lanka is doing the same thing as well in Pakistan. Sorry,
I agree. Pakistan is doing the same thing as well. But I'll tell you, there have been many instances, especially under Virat Kohli's captaincy, where India has had setting targets of 400, 450 odd. But India was totally dominant. India was a totally dominant test side during that particular time, whether it was home or away. Kudos to Virat Kohli's captaincy. It left a lot of all these tactics from Virat Kohli. They left a lot of time in the test match that India did not need to bat in the 4th gear or the 5th gear. There were a couple of instances where they did bat in those gears. But even despite that, there was so much time with Ashwin and Jadeja and Shami and Bumrah and Ishan Sharma, all of them taking wickets, that they always had 450 on the board and 5 sessions to bowl out the opposition team. So, and I asked Virat Kohli this, and he said this is also a form of aggression where you take the draw or the tie off the table. It's just win or lose. And we have a better chance of winning because we have 5 sessions to bowl them out and 450 runs on the board. So that was that particular era when this is happening. Under MS Dhoni, it didn't happen at all. So again, yes, there is no way BAZBALL's influence will not be denied. English media is very, very strong. Their narrative is very, very strong. They came up with the name, they coined the name. But to say that this is going to change Test cricket, it's going to save Test cricket, correct. I don't agree, and it's going to take a lot for me to agree to that.
Raro ball.
She's still stuck on names.
Okay, but let's talk about Rohit Sharma as well. Now, the thing is, coming into this series, guys, there was pressure on Rohit Sharma, right? Captaincy, not being able to score as many runs as he would have wanted in all formats. To be able to come here and do what he's done with the bat, with the captaincy, because I feel like he's walking the talk, Jamie. He may not at times succeed in the kind of ideology that he has for this team, which is, we've got to be aggressive, we've got to change our approach. He spoke about it as soon as he took over as a captain. He said that, look, I want to change our approach. We want to be aggressive. We want to go hard in the power plays. We also want to evolve with the game itself, right? I see that in him. And I see that in the way he's batted. I see that in the way that he's gone for a win. Now, all of us were wondering who would have thought of this, right? Yes, they want points. They want a win here. They want those 12 points. But having said that, for him to tell everybody ki bhai jao, maro, express yourself. Hats off to him.
Yeah, look, I'm somewhat on the fence when it comes to Rohit Sharma at this stage of his international career, because Neha, it's not the first time he's given big statements, started to walk the talk, and then utterly tripped and fallen down, right? I think it's more important to perhaps expect this to be maybe a minor change given the disappointment of the WTC final. There's no denying the fact that he could not have got a weaker, feebler, tamer opposition and conditions to do this. If you look at India's 2 test matches in Bangladesh, Rohit was not there for those, he was injured, but Bangladesh actually claimed more sessions than West Indies have managed to do across almost now 2 test matches. So let's accept the fact that it's very easy to do what he's doing when you're playing in the West Indies in very friendly conditions against such friendly bowling. But that said, I would like to, like you asked, I would like to believe that something has changed, something has sparked inside Rohit Sharma, that he's saying, whatever time I have left as test captain of a team, again, transition, broken, reset, whatever term you want to attach to this team, he understands that we need to play a different, more attractive, aggressive brand of cricket if we genuinely want to get to the WTC final. Because if you look at the 2 WTC cycles we've had, the first one, it was rather easy for the Indian team to get there. The second time was much tougher. And it looks much tougher, especially when you look at the way Pakistan is now playing. So I believe, yes, we're 2 summers away from it. I believe India's challenge of getting to next 2 years from now, the WTC final, is much tougher. And they're going to they're going to have to rely on a lot more players. Maybe this is Rohit's way of saying, you know what, I'm going to try and do better.
Okay, fair enough. What about Ajinkya Rahane? Where does he stand now in the scheme of things? I'm going to come to Ishan Kishan because there's a separate package we have for Ishan Kishan, right? I think he's edged past the other keepers for now, for the time being, after what he did yesterday. But Ajinkya Rahane first, and then we'll talk about Ishan Kishan.
Well, the thing with Ajinkya Rahane, Meha, those 2 failures have cost him. They could cost him. Like we had discussed earlier as well, before the South Africa series, we do not have any first-class cricket as such. Perhaps some white ball domestic cricket. He's surely not going to be part of the World Cup plans. So can he impress the selectors once again by playing some domestic white ball cricket? He has done so in the past. Maybe he can do that again. On these pitches, it was always going to be difficult for him. For somebody who's played 80 odd test matches, his average is below 40. That's because there's a reason for it. As an Indian batsman, you're going to play half of your test matches in India, and spin has been his weakness. Even playing in India, spin has been his weakness. So against spin, he's always going to be a very, lightweight customer. In South Africa, the pitches are going to be very different. Pitches are going to be harder. The bounce is going to be better. Will the selectors say, okay, you know what? Let's give him another chance. We made him the vice captain. People are not going to forget. Even if India wins the World Cup, people are not going to forget that you are dropping your vice captain once again. And that's the problem. Why did you make him the vice captain? If Rohit Sharma was going to West Indies and you're making him captain, you could have made anybody else vice captain or made nobody. There have been times in the past where India has gone overseas without a vice captain. Only when there's been an injury to the captain or the captain is unavailable, then the vice captain is named and then you have somebody coming up. But this time ahead, they've made this double whammy, and now they are going to have to drop their vice captain, and Ajinkya Rahane could be dropped for a second time after being the vice captain, which is probably unprecedented even by Indian cricket standards.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. Nobody wants to be made the vice captain because they get dropped. But I'm guessing that in this scenario now, the way I see it, I think Ravichandran Ashwin is the right choice. Because India are playing a lot of cricket at home, test cricket at home. And so maybe right after they go to South Africa. I'm hoping in South Africa, will he play? That's the other thing, but that's for another day. We're not going to talk about it. Let's now talk about Ishan Kishan. And in the absence of Rishabh Pant, India have been looking for a reliable wicketkeeper batter in all three formats, and it seems after the day 4 heroics at the Queen's Park Oval, Ishan Kishan has edged past Shrikar Bharat and others who've been in contention for that slot. Ishan Kishan was promoted to number 4 in the second innings, and unlike the first test in Dominica, if you remember, where he came in at number 7, played around 20 deliveries before Rohit Sharma asked him to hurry up and open his account so they could declare. In this test, he came in with a completely different mindset. He walked in with an intent to score quickly, and he hit the West Indies bowlers all over the park, scoring 52 off just 34 balls. That's not the only thing that was impressive in this batting. 2 shots stood out for everybody. Look at that. The strike rate of 152, 52 runs off 32 balls, 4 fours and 2 sixes. And I'm going to talk about those 2 sixes because those 2 shots stood out. They reminded us of a certain Rishabh Pant. Now, Kishan smashed 2 one-handed sixes. One as he tried to loft to extra cover. He lost his bottom hand. And on the very next delivery, which turned out to be a full toss, he again swung hard, a long on. Once again, did it one-handed, showing shades of Rishabh Pant. That's not all. He even thanked Rishabh Pant in the post-match presentation, saying that he was given this advice by Rishabh Pant when he was in NCA. We're going to put that quote up, but first let's take reactions from both Chetan and Jamie. Jamie, I would think that this has sort of sealed his place in this team. Wicket keeping was already impressive. Both Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid spoke about it. Now with this kind of batting, you know what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I think it's something we've discussed a lot, and Chetan has rightly mentioned and highlighted, I would say, the faults, if I can use that term, that started to creep up into KS Bharat's wicket keeping. And I think 5 test matches in this time, and see, we have to understand that whenever Rishabh Pant comes back, he will, we all hope, he will in fact be given that red carpet to come back and keep wickets. So whoever it was, KS Bharat, Ishan Kishan, a third person, it was always going to be, I won't say temporary because I think Pant's going to be out for a bit longer, but it's always going to be a caretaker's job, right? And I think KS Bharat got 5 massive test matches, 4 against Australia in a BGT. India had to win to stave off the competition to get to the WTC final. And then his 5th match was that WTC final. Is he a far skilled keeper to Ishan Kishan? Yes, we all know that. But like we discussed before, Ishan Kishan needed to be given a chance. And I think it would not be unfair or harsh on KS Bharat for him to be dropped in this match. The team had to see what this guy has. I'm sure they all knew about it, but you need to give him a debut. The keeping has been very safe, like we've discussed. Yes, there was that strange inning. We've discussed this as well. But what last night's innings has proven is that, yes, unfair comparison with Rishabh Pant, but on a given day in certain conditions against a slightly poor attack, he can do that. And that was the requirement, the need of the hour, like discussed. Could Virat Kohli have done what Ishan Kishan did? Absolutely not. Could Ajinkya Rahane have? Absolutely not. Could Jadeja have? In theory, yes, but that's not Jadeja's role. So if you're battling time, if you're pushing for results, you're looking in that dressing room, Ishan beta, jaake kar le, because that's the kind of cricket he does. So I'm looking at safe keeping, small sample size, safe keeping, that kind of impact innings, and something which I mentioned yesterday while we were watching it. The kind of vibe, the kind of chatter, the kind of mic entertainment he's giving you, I believe this also plays a big role in this time. Go out, express yourself. Rishabh Pant, his banter with Tim Payne was one of the highlights of that series. Again, unfair comparison, but he's giving the team that kind of pick-me-up mood, which I think this team, especially under Rohit Sharma, probably values. So to me, you gave KS Bharat 5 test matches, give him at least 4 to see what happens.
Now, if you're wondering that why would you send someone like an Ishan Kishan ahead of Virat Kohli? I mean, do you not trust Virat Kohli to go out there and score at that strike rate? This is what Ishan Kishan had to say when he was asked this question about his innings. and he credits Virat Kohli. Let's put that quote up before I come to Chetan on that. And this is what he said. Let's get that quote up of Ishan Kishan. He says, it was really special. I knew what the team needed from me. Everyone backed me. Virat backed me and told me, go and play your game. Let us hope we will finish the game tomorrow. It was Virat Bhai who took the initiative and told me that I should go in. There was a slow left armer who was bowling. It was a good call for the team. Sometimes you need to take these calls. So, bhai, now for all those people who had these conspiracies, Chetan, that arey Virat ko nahi aane diya, get Ishan Kishan's come over Virat Kohli. Apparently, it's Virat Kohli who said, "Jao, khelo."
Well, the Virat Kohli fan club has a lot of time on their hands, a lot of imagination is available to them. So, not really surprised. It was pretty obvious. I mean, Virat Kohli cannot bat the way Ishan Kishan bats today. 10 years ago, maybe yes, it was an obvious call. I mean, you don't really need to say that Virat Kohli told him ki jao meri jagah pe batting karo. It was an obvious call to make. India were looking for quick runs, maybe declare before the stumps, and bowl a bit in the last session. So it was pretty much an obvious call. So I don't see why anybody would want to find a conspiracy in this. But like I said, people have a lot of time on their hands. Ishan Kishan, yes, he's, I think, stabilized himself in that particular spot. I don't know who will be the second keeper going to South Africa. I don't think Rishabh Pant will be back by then. Probably they're targeting next year's India-England series at home, or maybe some limited overs matches to start with, not start with test matches. But before that, he has to obviously play test cricket. So he needs, first-class cricket. So he needs to play the Ranji season, which starts in January. So before January, I don't think we should even talk about Rishabh Pant playing for India. So Ishan Kishan, the number one choice for South Africa test, and then who will be the second one? KS Bharat, yes. I mean, look, with KS Bharat, the thing is, he's a very, very good wicket keeper. And he's had some odd moments where he's dropped a couple of catches and not picked them up on decent wickets. But in the first 3 tests against Australia, on turning tracks, he was a really good keeper. But today's international cricket, does not want a wicket keeper who can bat. They want a batting keeper. Ishan Kishan, Rishabh Pant, these are the likes of keepers who bat and they keep wickets, not keep and maybe or maybe not they will contribute runs. That era has pretty much gone. Today, if you get a batsman who can keep and keep decently well, that's good enough. And look what BAZBALL is doing. They got Johnny Bairstow to keep wickets. But that's a very, very poor analogy. I'm not drawing a parallel here. It's not BAZBALL, but I'm just telling you that today you need a batsman who can keep wickets, irrespective of the format. And that is where the likes of Ishan Kishan, Rishabh Pant, they steal a march on the likes of KS Bharat or Vriddhiman Saha, who may be better wicket keepers. So that's there. Having said that, good decision to send him ahead of Virat Kohli, but very bad decision in the first innings to send Ravindra Jadeja ahead of Ishan Kishan. That was the time they should have sent Ishan Kishan to bat in the first innings in the normal way you would bat, take your time and score some runs. That was the need of the hour. So poor decision in the first innings, good one and obvious one in the second.
With Johnny Bairstow, it's Saat Khoon Maaf. Now you can do what you want to do. Johnny Bairstow is going to be there in that team. Then, 99.
He can leave his.
He's
he can leave
going
his
to be
crease
there
in a very stupid manner and he'll still be there. Yeah.
He'll still be there. And they'll still blame rain for losing the Ashes. We're going to talk about that as well. Jamie, Shubman Gill, he'd be ruining this opportunity. This was a perfect opportunity in this series where he could have come out as, the new number 3. He himself had gone to Rahul Dravid and said, Mirko, I want to bat at number 3. I mean, he would think that this is a huge opportunity that he's missed.
Yeah, look, you had an extra innings. I think yesterday was an innings that maybe not everyone thought would come.
Yeah.
But on the basis of these 2 test matches, he's really blown a good chance. Look, his place is not in doubt. This is a team in transition. We all know what he offers this team. But it's just all the pressure which you put on yourself by giving these comments, and then and what Rohit has said, just being Shubman Gill, having a tremendous year until now. It's just a minor blip. I would like to agree on that. but you need to score runs. You need to keep the doubters, the critics at bay. You also need to keep yourself on the right track.
Yeah.
Fantastic one-day year, fantastic T20I year, outstanding IPL. You sort of assume that after failing in England, he'd score runs against these bowlers, but two bad shots or
I just sorry. I just wanted to. I just suddenly this popped in my head that wouldn't he have also been asked to go hammer and tongs? Given how Ishan Kishan was asked to do the job, I'm guessing they would have asked Shubman Gill to do the same, but he obviously wasn't going at that same speed as Ishan Kishan was. Is that because he already knows now at the back of his head, ki bhai, I've gotten out twice?
Chetan?
No, Jamie, that was for you. Sorry, I stopped you. I'll come to Chetan.
No. So again, until we hear from someone from the team management or Rohit, I don't know whether to discuss, but probably yes. Given his white ball form, yeah, he could do that. But again, if you're seeing him as a long-term number three has to be more of a solid batsman. Can he do what Ishan Kishan did? Absolutely. It's not about having two failures. It's what if it doesn't work out, what precedent that sets going forward, right? We all know it's 5.5, 6 months until Shubman Gill plays a test match again. Most likely he will either be opening or batting at 3 against South Africa. What if this doesn't work out? Then you have wrong connotations. Have you dampened his spirit more? I think if they had to pick one person to go out and step on it, it was going to be Jaiswal as an opener, which he did with that 6, and then Ishan Kishan. Just because of the role, perhaps this team sees Shubman Gill batting in for the next, I don't know, year and a half.
Yeah, fair enough. Chetan, you agree? By the way, there's a comment, Chetan, for you specifically, because it says, sorry, Virat can strike better than Kishan. It was selfless of Kohli to send someone ahead of him. He once sent Pant ahead. He got out on 0 and then Virat smashed 29 balls 70. That's Introspect who's telling us this. Go ahead.
Like I said, Virat Kohli fan club has a lot of time on their hands. Look, with respect to Shubman Gill, I think it was natural for him to just come and feel the ball on his bat. I mean, he's not had a longish stay at the crease throughout the series. So get some runs under his belt. Just spend some time at number 3. I think the conversation in the dressing room would have been particularly that. Just go there, play a natural game, spend some time at the crease, just get the feel. Because, look, he's going to bat at number 3 for a long time to come. There is no way he can go back to opening the innings. Virat Kohli is still there, so he can't bat in the middle order, or he'll have to bat at number 5 or so. And India will have to look for another number 3 in South Africa. So, if he's asked to bat at number 3, he's going to be there for a while, unless he fails for the next 1.5 years. So he has to live with that decision. And I think Indian cricket, given the talent he has, given the run scoring form he has, he will be given that long rope to bed in, to feel how number 3 comes to him, take that time. So I think, I would not read too much. Like we have said before on the shows as well, if you're scoring in the West Indies, it probably doesn't count a lot. So if you're not scoring in the West Indies, that shouldn't count too much either, especially for Shubman Gill when he's going to a new position. Indian cricket is taking a new step. So I wouldn't read too much into it. It's good that he spent time at the crease, and I think we should just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll come back to India versus West Indies, but let's also talk about the Ashes. Australia have retained the Ashes. This after the 4th test at Old Trafford was washed out. England didn't put a foot wrong in this test match. They restricted Australia to 317 on a good batting wicket. They went with that BAZBALL approach to gain a massive 275 run lead with more than 2 days remaining. So they gave themselves enough opportunities, but it wasn't to be. Zach Crawley and Johnny Bairstow, they played superb knocks to put England firmly in the driver's seat. They knew that weather was going to play spoilsport on the last 2 days, so they tried everything to get a result. But Marnus Labuschagne and Mitchell Marsh, they frustrated England with a gritty partnership. England finally managed to get 5 Australian wickets before rain spoiled the game. No play on the 5th day, 4th day also affected by rain. This is what you call a damp squib, quite literally. But now what seems to have happened is that because Australia have retained the Ashes, given that they are leading this series 2-1, England are not happy. some of the former cricketers are talking about how this is not the right way to retain the Ashes. So let's get Jamie and Chetan back. If they lose, they whine. If Johnny Bairstow gets out by the correct laws of the game, they whine. Can someone just tell all these former cricketers and England fans, Chetan, that Australia were leading this series 2-1 and they can still win this 3-1?
It was a general assumption before the test match began, Meha, that England would win 2-2 and then they would take it 2-0 and it will be 3-2 and it will be the greatest Ashes test ever. I mean, look, in the first test match, they declared when they didn't need to. They should have declared in this test match, knowing how the weather was, but they batted till 500. They lost the second test match and they blamed it on that run out of stumping or whatever you want to call it of Johnny Bairstow. And it was against the spirit of the game. I don't know how following the rules is against the spirit of the game. So 2013, the test match at Manchester was washed out and England retained the Ashes. I mean, obviously we were not all very active on Twitter back then, but I still don't remember anybody shedding any tears that, this was not the right way to win or retain the Ashes. So look, thumb rule for English cricket, if it goes their way, everything is fine. Whether it's according to the rules or spirit or whatever, does not matter. If it doesn't go their way, spirit of cricket, against laws should be changed, they should bowl throughout the day, spectators, this, that, everything, every excuse. This is the thumb rule of English cricket. And the thing is, their media is so strong, the narrative is so strong that it's just impossible to negate it. And that is why we think BAZBALL is going to save Test cricket when it doesn't need saving, not this way. That is why, there's so much whining about it and everybody thinks that, oh, this is the first time a test match has been washed out. No, it has happened for so long. And this is just absolutely ridiculous. So like I said, this is the way they think and this is the narrative that they propagate and there is nobody who can do anything about it.
Okay, let's listen into what Ben.
The weather just didn't help us. We can't change that. It's just unfortunate. It's a tough pill to swallow, knowing that that's obviously been the reason why we sit here with a draw. But we've done everything we possibly could in the hours of play that we managed to get. After a start, we were completely and utterly dominant throughout the hours of play we had. It's a shame, but we know we can't get it back. We know all we can do is draw the series, and that's sort of obviously what we'll be trying to do. But I think what we've managed to do up until today, anyway, has done wonders for cricket in England. I think we'll still have the support that we have done throughout the series next week. But yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt if we managed to get the result of this game, the next week would have been a very, very special week in the history of not just Ashes cricket but English cricket. So, but yeah, we'll be treating it as every other game, and I hope that the support we get would still be there or thereabouts the same if it was 2-2.
Okay, so whether playing spoil sport, no doubt, Jamie, they were in front. They could have won this. Had the match gone on till the fifth day, there is more chances, one can say, of England winning this test match and drawing the series. But to think that this is, a travesty, to think that this is the reason, rain is the reason why England haven't been able to win the Ashes. I think that's where the problem is. I'm all for BAZBALL. I'm all for this attacking, form of cricket. I'm all for, we want to go out there and win at all costs. But at the same time, they also say results don't matter. We just want to play exciting cricket. But then not being able to really really put the blame on where their mistakes are, I think that's a problem. I'm all for it. But the reason why why Australia retained the Ashes was not because of the weather. It's because you didn't play good cricket in the first two test matches.
Absolutely. So many fielding errors. I think I read somewhere a 12 or 13 drops slash missed stumpings, which cost nearly 300 runs. Stuart Broad's no ball to Usman Khwaja when he was just little after 100. I think he got 140 odd. Some pretty daft batting, I think, has also been raised. So I think England have to understand that Headingley win should have been a series clinching win, right? The team that played the poorer cricket in the first two matches ended up being 0-2 down. The team that got it together, played better cricket in the third test match, won that test match. By all means, they were utterly the more dominant, the hungrier side in this test match. But you knew rain was coming. Rain has been around for as long as Test cricket has been around, right? I don't know when was it 66? England last won the FIFA World Cup. I think since then they're very happy. Like, this picture is so typically English. I think English fans, English media, because for decades they used to lose at cricket, especially to Australia. Their football team has been a joke for 40, 50 years now. I just think they're just so happy being morose that even when things go well, hey, are we winning? How can you go? This was, I just get a sense reading the columns and the tweets this morning. There's almost a sense of, we was robbed. I don't think that's the kind of line you should be taking, right? 2013, you retained the Ashes because of a washout at Old Trafford. So a decade later, here you are on the other side. Look, you were definitely the better team in this test match, but the weather gods had other things. Move on, move on. There's still a lot more. You want to save cricket? There's a lot of saving to be done in the future as well. It doesn't end with this result.
Okay, Chetan, I'm just going to come to you. Let's just put some of these quotes. Michael Vaughan, frustrated. He says, it's no way to retain the Ashes. Let's put that quote up for all our viewers. Quickly, I'll take all of them. Michael Vaughan says, it's no way to retain the Ashes. Let's be honest, but Australia will take it. They are in a similar position as they were in 2019. This feels different though. In 2019, I thought Australia were the better team. England hung on with the greatest innings of all time from Ben Stokes at Headingley, got them that victory. This feels like over the 4 matches, I know England are 2-1 down, but they have been the better team. Just look at this kind of, yes, Chetan, delusion, what do you call it? I mean, scorelines are for something, right? Results mean something. 2-1, obviously England are were the better side.
The thing with English sport is, and it's not just about cricket anymore, Meha, it's about every sport. English football, English Premier League is the best league in the world, regardless of the fact that every year Spanish sides and Italian sides, they do better than them. Yes, Manchester City won, but how much have they paid to buy all those players and win the Champions League? And that too after what, 8, 9, 10 years of financial corruption. And they still have 115 charges of corruption against them. So they had this, Emma Raducanu, who, I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, but she won one tennis tournament and she was awarded OBE or MBE for her services to tennis. One Grand Slam and her services to tennis. Ben Stokes knock, greatest test knock. How could it be the greatest test knock? Maybe the greatest Ashes knock, but how can you negate 120 years of test cricket and say that was the greatest ever knock played? So anything with English cricket or English sport becomes greatest immediately. That's the problem there. This feeling of, we are greater than everybody, which is what led them to colonize the entire world. And people like Michael Vaughan, who are part of the media, they should ask questions to Brendan McCullum, who said that losing the first test felt like victory. It didn't. You are 2-0 down. You were 2-0 down. You were 1-0 down. How is it victory? How does it feel like victory? And the fact you've lost the Ashes is because you lost those first 2 test matches. It can feel whatever you want it to feel. You can feel that England could have beaten Australia, but no. The trophies are handed out on the basis of scoreline. You declared stupidly in the first test match. You batted poorly in the second test match. You bowled well throughout the series. But it is also a fact that England won all 4 tosses. And they put Australia in all 4 times. So you control the pace of the series. You control the narrative. And you can't cry now that rain has come and this has come and that has come. Cricket or any sport does not work like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's also listen into Pat Cummins, what he had to say after that draw.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a pretty similar group to 2019 when we retained it, and yeah, we all came away feeling okay, but it felt like there was a little bit, we just kind of just missed what we'd come over to achieve. So, in some regards, whatever happened today wouldn't really change how we look at next week. We want to win it, so we make sure that we win it outright. I think across the board, in all facets, we just weren't at our best. It happens. I think the good thing is you look at kind of the body of work of this team, and it's quite rare that we have a off week kind of across the board. So, I don't think you can put your finger on just one thing. I also think they played really well this week, which probably highlights a few of those areas even more.
I think Pat Cummins can pat himself on the back. He has been absolutely brilliant for this team, given the situation in which he came in. Quickly, let's put two quotes back to back of Merv Hughes and Damien Martin on what he has to say about all the noise. And then we'll move on to Harmanpreet. We're running out of time. Let's get that quote up of Merv Hughes first. He says, again, I'm not celebrating. Damien Martin first. Quite funny reading through Twitter and all the complaints about England losing the 5 Test match series because of rain. Just a thought, maybe don't be 2-0 down. Play the long game for a series win. There's also Merv Hughes. He has said again, I am not celebrating a washout. I'm not celebrating a drawn Test match. I'm celebrating the fact the Aussies retained the Ashes. It's not that hard to understand, is it? Okay. I'm all for BAZBALL. I think it's made cricket exciting. I love the way Zach Crawley played. I love the way their bowlers have bowled as well. Always trying to go for a win. It's something that teams will adapt. Teams will want to play like that. But having said that, the results are in favour of Australia, and they can change that in the next match at the Oval. Let's move on now. Indian women's team drew the ODI series against Bangladesh after the third ODI ended in a tie. But what happened during and after that third ODI has taken the spotlight away from the result and put it firmly on Indian captain Harmanpreet Kaur, and not in a positive manner. Harmanpreet Kaur first showed her frustration by smashing the wicket with her bat after she was given out. As she walked back to the pavilion, she had a few more words to say to the umpires. At the post-match presentation, she called the umpiring pathetic. She said that the kind of umpiring they had seen, it was surprising, and the next time they came to Bangladesh, they will come specially prepared for that as well. She wasn't done though. At the trophy presentation then, as both teams prepared for a joint photograph, as the two captains stood for a photo with the trophy, she asked her opposite number to call the umpires on the stage, since she believed they had a huge role in getting Bangladesh team to tie the match. Bangladesh captain, she'd had enough. She refused to take a picture. She refused to get a picture clicked, taking her team back to the dressing room. Later, Smriti Mandhana, she called for neutral umpiring in such a series, saying ICC, BCCI and BCB, Bangladesh Cricket Board, will definitely have a discussion on this issue, and that's the need of the hour, so that they don't end up having such a problem again, and these things are not being discussed, and the focus is on cricket and cricket-related issues. Okay. I'm going to throw this open to both of you. 75% of match fee. Somebody asked rightly on Twitter, Jamie, that what more does she need to do to get 100% of her fee cut? I mean, how worse can that behavior be? And whether just cutting match fee is enough in a situation like this. You're representing a country. You've gone out there. You could have problems with umpiring. But that kind of behavior has to be condoned. It cannot go on like that, and a precedent has to be set.
Yeah, I agree. 75% of the match fee, even 100% of the match fee, or even 3 match fees, is not going to leave a dent, despite the fact that we know that India women's cricketers get paid far less. I'm very, very disappointed. First, with this visual here, again, not the first international cricketer to show disapproval by hitting the stumps, but that is absolutely not on. The comment about umpiring being pathetic, that's something which is said in the heat of the moment, and we've seen the umpiring. There were some very strange calls. So that part I'm okay with, because that's, if you feel something, I think you should be allowed to say it. But the hitting the stumps and then adding on things, it just reeks of sour grapes. Perhaps she arrived and with her team thinking that this is going to be an easy series. Maybe some part of it was just being jolted by the fact that the series was shared. Saying these things at the post-match presentation, calling for the umpires, that's not on at any level, be it the most basic school level, especially at the international level, because you're an icon. And again, what is the appropriate sanction? This is something which cricket has struggled with for decades across both men's and women's cricket, and there's no easy answer to that. And we know BCCI is not going to do anything. And regarding neutral umpires, I mean, look, this all this started in the 80s when Mike Gatting went and complained, and Imran Khan said, "You want something?" Imran Khan was the one who got neutral umpires. What happened? Pakistan went and smashed England. So we're looking at this for 40 odd years. Neutral umpires are not the solution. I just think, to wrap it up, it's just a bit of sour grapes from Harman and the team.
And a lot of it is also about how you didn't play good cricket, Chetan. That's the bottom line. And having said that, I mean, you cannot just say, oh, that's okay. Umpiring was bad, so, she's justified. Nothing justifies that.
No, that behavior cannot be justified. And yes, to a certain extent, I would say her reaction was because of the frustration that India did not perform well, not on this series, but on the entire tour, really.
Yeah.
I think that was a bigger frustration for her, she being the captain and everything. But that behavior cannot be justified. I disagree with Jamie a little bit here that the BCCI cannot do anything. The BCCI should do two things here. One, they should complain to the ICC if, in fact, they do find that the umpiring was not in India's favor. Study it. Find the material, find the evidence. If it was not in India's favor, complain to the ICC, start getting neutral umpiring in women's cricket as well. If we are trying to grow women's cricket in every way, then this is also one way that we need to grow women's cricket with. The second thing, and far more important, that the BCCI should do is censure Harman. They need to punish her, because right now women's cricket in India is just taking off. And there are thousands and thousands of little girls who are watching Harmanpreet Kaur, and that behavior is inexcusable. They see that behavior and they're going to try to replicate it. She's an idol and role model for those thousands of girls who are watching women's cricket and aspiring to be an Indian women cricketer.
Well said.
So this cannot go unpunished, and the BCCI really needs to take the step.
Okay, wrapping this up, completely out of time. Thank you so much, Jamie and Chetan, as always, to be here on this show. What do you think of our programming? Do let us know in the comments section below. News9 Live is what you need to subscribe to. Hit the like button if you like our programming, if you like Game On. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch and exploiting their resources.
The Baloch armed struggle will continue unless China withdraws, Pakistan military withdraws from Balochistan, and give Baloch complete authority to decide for themselves.
The Baloch feel that if they don't act now, they will become marginalized.
What lies ahead for Balochistan?
Balochistan, Bangladesh 2.0, streaming now.
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.
Who will blink first?
So far from preventing the expansion of NATO, Russian actions have actually resulted in the expansion of NATO.
It's a mess for Russia and it's a mess for the Western world, for NATO and the United States.
Putin is a dictator, and if he loses, that means the end of his regime, and probably of him personally. So he has to keep going.
Year 2, no end in sight. Streaming now. ChatGPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors, camera crew. But does a newsroom really need them today?
All of us have to think about unique and distinctive value addition that cannot be automated or repeated or replaced by a machine.
ChatGPT may kill many companies.
A human has to be in the loop with an ability to control this.
Dark Side of the Boom. Streaming now.
The chairman of My Home Group, Dr. Juppalli Rameswar Rao, has been honored with the prestigious GSS Global Safety Award. This momentous event took place at none other than the prestigious House of Lords in the British Parliament in London. My Home Group was bestowed with the Best Safety, Health and Environment Award for its 9 exceptional projects. The accolades were received by the institution's esteemed Senior President, Mr. M. Shyam Rao, Project's Senior President, Mr. Ravi Sai, and HAC Head, Mr. Bhaskar Raju.
My Home Group, under the leadership of Dr. Juppalli Rameswar Rao, has achieved yet another milestone, earning international recognition. Acknowledged as global sustainability leaders in the construction industry, they were honored with this prestigious award in London. My Home Group is not just a name, but a trusted brand, meeting the aspirations of the Telugu people. A trendsetter in various industries, construction, cement, power, consultancy and education, My Home Group has achieved numerous successes